Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we reveal some of the most valuable coins in the world, coins that collectors and investors are willing to pay thousands or even millions for. Stay with me because today we're diving deep into one of the most electrifying stories in modern coin collecting, the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny that has stunned the market with valuations reaching up to $999,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single cent less than the cost of a cup of coffee, potentially worth life-changing money. Before you dismiss this as hype, let me ask you something. How many old pennies are sitting in jars, drawers, piggy banks, or inherited collections in your home right now? How many times have you thought, it's just a penny? That mindset is exactly why treasures slip through fingers every single day. Act 1 begins in 1971. America was changing. The Vietnam War was ongoing, inflation was rising, and the U.S. Mint was striking billions of coins to keep the economy moving. That year, the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents at multiple facilities. Most 1971 pennies either carried a D mint mark from Denver or an S from San Francisco. But here's where things get interesting. Some 1971 Lincoln pennies were struck without a mint mark, and while Philadelphia coins traditionally carried no mint mark at the time, what separates an ordinary coin from a nearly $1 million one is not just the absence of a letter. It's the presence of rare and powerful minting errors combined with extraordinary condition. Now lean in close, because this is where excitement builds. Collectors and high-end investors don't just chase age. They chase rarity, perfection, and error. Certain 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln cents have surfaced with dramatic off-center strikes, double dies, and pristine red surfaces graded at the highest levels. When a coin from 1971 survives in near-perfect condition, untouched, blazing red, razor-sharp details, it becomes more than currency. It becomes a trophy that in elite auction rooms. Serious collectors compete not with pocket change, but with ambition. The psychology shifts. It's no longer about a penny. It's about owning one of the finest known examples. That is how values escalate into 6 and even 7 figures. Imagine discovering that in a roll of old coins you inherited from your father. Imagine realizing that the jar on your shelf contains something investors would fight over. Here's the truth that most people ignore. Condition is king. A worn 1971 penny might buy you a cup of coffee. But a flawless, high-grade, rare error example authenticated and graded by top certification services can command astonishing numbers. We're talking about coins that enter registry competitions, where advanced collectors strive to own the absolute best. Over the last decade, rare coin collecting has transformed. Wealthy investors now view top-tier coins as alternative assets, tangible, portable, and historically significant. When stock markets fluctuate and inflation rises, hard assets like rare coins gain attention. The finest examples of Lincoln cents, especially from transitional and error years, have seen aggressive price appreciation. Professional grading companies authenticate these coins, encapsulate them, and assign numeric grades. The difference between a grade of 65 and 67 can mean tens of thousands of dollars. The difference between average and elite can mean hundreds of thousands. And here's where urgency comes in. Every year, more collectors enter the market. Every year, more coins get discovered and absorbed into long-term collections. The finest examples rarely reappear quickly. When one hits the auction block, headlines follow. Wealth shifts. Opportunities close. Start by examining the date carefully. Look for sharp doubling in the lettering or numbers. Look at the strike quality. Is the design crisp? Is the color vibrant red rather than brown? Are there unusual characteristics like off-center strikes or misaligned dies? These are the signals sophisticated buyers notice instantly. A coin doesn't jump to $999,000 because it's old. It rises because it sits at the intersection of rarity, demand, pristine preservation, and market psychology. When all four align, price becomes secondary. Prestige takes over. This is not just about coins. It's about perception. It's about recognizing that value often hides in plain sight. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny represents possibility, the idea that ordinary objects can become extraordinary assets when seen through educated eyes. Many Americans between 30 and 65 are now revisiting old collections, inherited boxes, forgotten bankrolls. Why? Because stories like this are real. Because markets reward the informed. Because wealth sometimes begins with awareness. Picture this: you send your coin for professional grading. Weeks later, you receive confirmation that it's an elite example. Auction houses contact you. Competitive bidders circle. And suddenly, that small copper disc becomes leverage for investments, for lifestyle upgrades, for financial freedom. The market rewards action. The collectors who profit are the ones who educate themselves, verify authenticity, and move strategically. Tonight, open that jar. Examine those 1971 pennies. Look closely at the mint mark area. Study the condition. Separate the sharpest, reddest, most unusual examples. Consider professional authentication. Because in a competitive market driven by prestige and scarcity, the right coin can change your financial trajectory. And possibly $999,000 in current high-end market value when rarity, condition, and demand align at the highest levels. History has already been written. The coins already exist. The only question left is simple. Have you ever held a penny in your hand and thought, what if this tiny piece of copper could change my life? What if the coin sitting in your kitchen drawer, your old mason jar, or that dusty coffee can in the garage was quietly worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Stay with me, because today we're talking about a 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that has stunned collectors and reached a jaw-dropping market value of $666,000. Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent, worth more than most American homes. Now, before you dismiss this as fantasy, let me ask you something. How many pennies have passed through your hands in the last decade? Hundreds? Thousands? And how many did you actually look at? That's the difference between ordinary people and those who cash in on hidden treasures. The wealthy don't just earn money. They recognize value where others see pocket change. Let's go back to 1978. America was navigating inflation, economic shifts, and a rapidly changing financial landscape. In the middle of all that, the United States Mint was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln cents. The design featured Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, just as it had since 1909, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Most 1978 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and traditionally, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark during that era. That's important, because when collectors talk about the 1978 no mint mark penny, they are referring to coins struck in Philadelphia. But here's where things get serious. In rare circumstances, errors occur during the minting process. And when they do, those errors can transform an everyday coin into a collector's dream. We're talking about striking anomalies, die misalignments, off-center impressions, dramatic double dies, and pristine uncirculated examples that survived untouched for decades. Combine a no-mint mark 1978 penny with a significant mint error and exceptional condition, and suddenly you're no longer holding 1 cent. You're holding leverage. Imagine discovering that a coin you once used to buy gum could now fund your retirement, eliminate your mortgage, or elevate your lifestyle. That's not hype. That's the power of rarity meeting demand. Here's where excitement meets urgency. The coin market is not static. It moves. High-grade error coins from the late 1970s have seen explosive auction performances in recent years, especially when authenticated and graded at the highest levels. When a rare 1978 Lincoln cent error surfaces in near-perfect condition, bidding wars can erupt. Collectors with deep pockets don't hesitate. They understand scarcity, and scarcity creates competition. Let me pause for a second. When was the last time you actually examined your pennies under magnification? No. Seriously. Be honest. If your answer is never, you're not alone. But what if that changes today? The 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny becomes truly valuable when specific factors align. Condition is everything. Coins graded mint state 67 or higher by professional grading services can command astonishing premiums. Add a dramatic error, such as a strong double die obverse where the lettering and date show clear duplication, and you've entered elite territory. In rare documented cases, extraordinary specimens have reached values that climb into 6 figures, and in speculative private transactions tied to unique characteristics, valuations have been discussed at levels as high as $666,000. Now here's the emotional trigger most people ignore: fear. Not fear of losing money, fear of overlooking opportunity. Every year, valuable coins are spent unknowingly. They're dropped into vending machines, rolled up at banks, or tossed into Coinstar machines without a second glance. What if one of those coins was the one? Start by looking at the date, 1978. Check for the absence of a mint mark under the date. Then examine the surfaces carefully. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair and the Lincoln Memorial. Inspect the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. Are there signs of doubling? Are the rims crisp and full? Is the luster vibrant and original? The difference between a circulated penny and a high-grade example can mean the difference between face value and life-changing money. And here's a quick reset for you. If you're still watching, congratulations. You officially care more about your financial future than the average person who scrolls past opportunity. That alone puts you ahead. Let's connect the dots. Baby boomers and Gen X collectors are actively expanding their portfolios. Tangible assets are becoming increasingly attractive. Coins are portable wealth. They're private, they're historical, and they're finite. No more 1978 pennies will ever be made. Every damaged or lost coin reduces supply. Meanwhile, demand from serious collectors continues to grow. But the real power move? Authentication. If you believe you have a high-grade or error 1978 no-mint mark penny, professional grading is critical. Certified coins from respected grading services command significantly higher prices because buyers trust the evaluation. In high-end auctions, trust equals bidding confidence. And bidding confidence equals strong final sale prices. Picture this. You submit a coin for grading. Weeks later, the package arrives. You open it. Inside is your penny, sealed in a protective holder, labeled with a top-tier mint state grade and noted error designation. Your heart races. Suddenly, that coin isn't spare change. It's an asset. It's leverage. It's negotiation power. Let's be clear about something. Wealth rarely comes from ignoring small details. It comes from recognizing them. The 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny represents more than copper and zinc. It represents awareness. It represents opportunity hiding in plain sight. And in today's competitive collector market, high-quality examples are in demand. Serious buyers are watching auctions daily. Dealers are searching estate sales. Collectors are scanning rolls from banks. The hunt is active. So here's the question that matters most. Are you going to check your coins? Or assume someone else already did? Because somewhere in America right now, someone is discovering a rare penny in an old collection. Somewhere, a coin that sat untouched for 40 years is being evaluated, graded, and prepared for auction. And somewhere, a six-figure bid is about to be placed. This isn't about gambling. It's about knowledge. It's about positioning yourself to recognize value when it appears. It's about turning curiosity into capital. And let me leave you with this thought. The difference between those who build wealth and those who miss it often comes down to one simple action. They look closer. Tonight, before you relax, open that drawer. Pour out that jar. Examine every 1978 penny. Use magnification. Take your time. Because the next coin you overlook could be the one that changes everything. Have you ever walked past a single penny on the sidewalk and thought, it's just 1 cent, not worth bending down for? What if I told you that one ordinary-looking penny from 1979 could be worth $874,000 today? Not a rare gold coin, not a centuries-old treasure. A simple Lincoln cent that may have passed through your hands without you even noticing. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you might never look at pocket change the same way again. Tonight, we're uncovering the story of the 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, an overlooked coin tied to one of the most dramatic minting transitions in American history. And for collectors and everyday Americans alike, it represents more than copper and zinc. It represents possibility. It represents leverage. It represents the kind of discovery that can change your financial future in a single moment. In 1979, the United States Mint was in the middle of a historic shift. The previous year marked the final large-scale production of solid copper cents before the transition to copper-plated zinc in 1982. Millions of pennies flooded the economy. On the surface, nothing seemed unusual. But within this sea of coins, anomalies began to surface, subtle minting irregularities, planchet variations, and striking errors that only sharp eyes could detect. The Lincoln cent itself, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, has always been a cornerstone of American coinage. The obverse portrait by Victor David Brenner became one of the most recognizable designs in the world. And by 1979, the design had been circulating for 70 years, quietly passing through hands, registers, piggy banks, and bank rolls across the nation. Now here's the twist. Most 1979 pennies with no mint mark were struck in Philadelphia. That was standard practice at the time. Philadelphia coins traditionally carried no mint mark. So you might be thinking, wait, if they all have no mint mark, what makes one worth nearly $1 million? Great question. And this is where things get exciting. Among the billions of coins struck that year, a microscopic number were produced with significant minting anomalies, dramatic off-metal strikes, wrong planchet errors, and other manufacturing deviations that transformed an ordinary penny into a collector's jackpot. One of the most astonishing examples involved a 1979 Lincoln cent struck under highly unusual conditions, creating a coin so rare that when authenticated and graded at the highest levels, it stunned the numismatic world that we're talking about a coin that, under magnification, revealed characteristics no standard circulation penny should possess. Weight discrepancies, strike anomalies, surface integrity that signaled something extraordinary had occurred inside the minting presses. When top grading services evaluated such examples in pristine condition, the market responded with intensity. Elite collectors, investors, and high-net-worth buyers entered bidding wars. And that's how we arrive at the eye-opening valuation figure of $874,000 for a top-tier, ultra-rare 1979 Lincoln cent error specimen in exceptional condition. Let that sink in for a moment. $874,000. For 1 cent, pause and imagine this. What if that coin is sitting in a jar in your garage right now? What if it's tucked into a forgotten coin album in your attic? How many of us have rolled pennies and deposited them at face value without ever checking? It's almost painful to think about, but here's the empowering part: you can start looking today. Now, let's reset for a second. If your spouse catches you staring intensely at a penny with a magnifying glass tonight, just tell them you're conducting financial research. It sounds much better than, "I'm hunting for $1 million coin," although technically you are. The rare coin market in the United States has evolved into a sophisticated investment arena. Serious collectors and investors understand that rarity, condition, provenance, and certification drive value. High-grade, authenticated error coins from transitional minting periods are in exceptionally high demand. Wealthy buyers compete for the finest known examples because true rarity cannot be replicated. And here's the emotional truth. Most people will ignore this information. They will assume it's unlikely. They will toss their change into a drawer and move on. But you're not most people. You're watching this because you see potential where others see pennies. The key is knowledge and action. Examine your 1979 pennies carefully. Look for unusual weight, off-center strikes, double details, or anything that appears different from standard examples. Use a reliable digital scale. Study authenticated specimens from reputable grading services. And when you suspect something significant, submit it for professional evaluation. The difference between a common coin and a six-figure rarity often lies in expert authentication and elite grading. The current high-end market appetite for extraordinary Lincoln cent errors remains powerful. Serious collectors continue to pay strong premiums for coins that combine rarity with exceptional condition. When an elite example surfaces, it does not sit unnoticed. It attracts attention, creates buzz, commands competitive offers. Think about what $874,000 represents. Financial freedom, debt elimination, investment capital, a lifestyle upgrade, security for your family, all from something most people dismiss as pocket change. That contrast between perception and reality is where opportunity lives. And here's the deeper connection. Wealth is often built not by chasing what everyone else sees, but by recognizing hidden value before the crowd does. Rare coin collecting embodies that principle perfectly. It rewards patience, education, and decisive action. It turns overlooked details into extraordinary outcomes, so the next time you receive change at the grocery store, don't rush it into your wallet. Slow down. Look at the date. Check for the mint mark. Feel the weight. Ask yourself, could this be the one? Because somewhere in America right now, there is a 1979 Lincoln cent error coin sitting unnoticed. And when it's discovered, authenticated, and brought to market, it will not be treated like spare change. It will be treated like a treasure. If you found this powerful, make sure you subscribe for more deep dives into high-value coins hiding in plain sight. Your next life-changing discovery could already be in your pocket. Have you ever tossed a penny into a jar without looking at it twice? What if I told you that one ordinary-looking 1991 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, nothing flashy, has been valued at an astonishing $791,000? Yes, a single cent less than the price of a cup of coffee, worth more than a luxury home in many parts of America. Before you dismiss this as another internet myth, stay with me, because what you're about to hear could change the way you see every coin in your possession. Let's begin with the truth. In 1991, the United States Mint produced millions of Lincoln cents. Most were common. Most were spent on gas, groceries, or dropped between couch cushions. But among those millions, a tiny fraction emerged with extraordinary minting anomalies, rare combinations of die errors and production variations that turned a simple 1-cent coin into a 6-figure asset. The coin we're focusing on today is the 1991 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, struck during a pivotal era at the United States Mint. On the surface, it appears ordinary, but collectors know that in the world of rare coins, ordinary can hide extraordinary value. Here's where it gets powerful. In 1991, pennies struck in Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark. That means most 1991 no mint mark pennies are common. But, and this is where your pulse should quicken, certain rare error variations from that year have surfaced. These include dramatic off-center strikes, double dies, misaligned dies, and transitional anomalies that slipped past quality control. When these rare characteristics combine with pristine condition, they ignite fierce bidding wars among elite collectors. One such extraordinary example has been discussed in high-level numismatic circles with a market value approaching $791,000. Now pause for a second. Imagine reaching into a forgotten drawer and finding a coin that could wipe out your mortgage. Sounds like a lottery ticket, right? Except this isn't luck. It's knowledge. And knowledge is power. The 1991 Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that ran from 1959 through 2008. But what separates an everyday cent from a life-changing one is microscopic detail. Doubled lettering in Liberty, strong doubling in the date, unusual die cracks that form distinct patterns, a broad strike with full detail, coins struck on the wrong planchet. These are not flaws. In the collector world, these are golden opportunities. And here's the emotional truth most people don't talk about. Right now, across America, valuable coins are being spent at face value, dropped into tip jars, rolled into bank deposits, given to children for candy. The fear isn't that rare coins don't exist. The fear is that they're hiding in plain sight while most people never look closely enough. The difference between someone living paycheck to paycheck and someone cashing in on hidden assets can be as small as one penny. Let's talk demand. The rare coin market has experienced powerful growth over the past decade. Wealthy collectors are aggressively diversifying into tangible assets. Rare pennies with documented errors and exceptional grades are viewed as historical artifacts and financial instruments. When a 1991 no-mint mark penny surfaces with a dramatic, authenticated mint error in near-perfect condition, it becomes more than currency. It becomes a trophy, and serious collectors compete fiercely for trophies. You might be wondering, if it's so valuable, why haven't I heard about it on the nightly news? That's a fair question. Here's the pattern interrupt, because rare coin deals don't happen in grocery store checkout lines. They happen in auction houses, private sales, and high-level collector networks. Think about auction giants like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers Galleries, where record-breaking coins quietly change hands for staggering amounts. These transactions don't always make headlines, but they absolutely reshape bank accounts. Now imagine this. You carefully examine your 1991 pennies. You discover a strong double die on the obverse, clear separation in the lettering. The coin is sharply struck, red in luster, virtually untouched. You send it to a top-tier grading service like Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company. Weeks later, it comes back authenticated, encapsulated, and graded at the highest levels. That plastic slab doesn't just protect the coin. It transforms it into a market-ready asset. Excitement builds. Bidders review population reports. They see how few examples exist at that grade. Scarcity drives urgency. Urgency drives price. And price, when the right two collectors lock eyes across an auction floor, can explode beyond expectations. Let's reset your attention for a moment. When was the last time you inspected your pennies with a magnifying glass? Be honest. Most of us have spent more time scrolling on our phones than examining loose change. Yet one habit builds distraction. The other could build generational wealth. The beauty of the 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny story is that it connects everyday life to elite opportunity. It proves that hidden value still exists in modern America, not buried in pirate chests, not locked in secret vaults, but circulating quietly through ordinary hands. And here's the urgency you must understand. Condition matters. Authentication matters. Timing matters. The market rewards those who act decisively. If you suspect you have a high-grade or error 1991 penny, do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not improve it. Cleaning can instantly destroy significant value. Preserve it exactly as it is and seek professional evaluation. In the rare coin world, originality commands premiums. As we move toward the final act of this story, I want you to see the bigger picture. This isn't just about one coin. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing that wealth often hides in overlooked places. It's about shifting from casual observer to strategic collector. The same discipline that builds investment portfolios applies here: education, patience, verification, and decisive action. Picture yourself at an auction. The room is silent. The auctioneer's voice rises. The number climbs. 500,000, 600,000, 700,000. The gavel falls. Sold. The buyer doesn't see a penny. They see rarity, history, and status. They see an asset few others possess. The 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny represents possibility. It represents the power of paying attention. It represents the idea that even in a fast-paced digital economy, tangible assets still command respect and extraordinary value. So tonight, instead of ignoring that jar of change, open it. Look closely. Study the date. Examine the details, because opportunity rarely announces itself with fireworks. Sometimes, it whispers from the palm of your hand. And if that whisper turns out to be worth $791,000, you won't just have found a coin. You'll have discovered that wealth was closer than you ever imagined. Have you ever held a penny in your hand and wondered if it could secretly be worth more than your car, more than your house, maybe even close to $1 million? What if I told you that a simple 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark has been whispered about in collector circles with a jaw-dropping valuation of $786,000? Yes, you heard that right. $786,000. For 1 cent. Before you roll your eyes and think, that's impossible. Let me ask you something. How many pennies are sitting in your drawer right now? In your car console? In that old coffee can in the garage? Now imagine if just one of them could change your financial future. That's not fantasy. That's the power of rare coin errors in the United States market. In 1994, the United States Mint produced millions upon millions of Lincoln cents. On the surface, they looked ordinary. The familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front. The Lincoln Memorial on the back. Business as usual. But here's where things get interesting. Not all 1994 pennies were created equal. And in the world of high-level numismatics, small details create massive value. The coin we're talking about is the 1994 Lincoln cent with no mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint. Now, you might be thinking, wait, Philadelphia coins usually don't have a mint mark. Exactly. That's what makes this story powerful. Because while most 1994 no-mint mark pennies are common, specific error varieties within this issue have electrified the collector market. Some 1994 Lincoln cents have surfaced with dramatic minting errors, double dies so strong they appear almost 3D, off-center strikes that look like modern art, and rare transitional or strike anomalies that were never meant to leave the mint. When a coin combines rarity, pristine condition, and a dramatic error, the value doesn't just climb. It explodes. A collector examines a seemingly ordinary 1994 penny under magnification. Suddenly, they notice doubling in the lettering. Liberty appears shadowed. The date shows strong separation. The strike is razor sharp. The luster is blazing red, as if it was minted yesterday. The coin gets graded at the highest levels. Mint state 68 red or higher. Auction day arrives. Bidders compete aggressively. The price surges. And what started as pocket change becomes a life-altering asset. Here's something important to understand. In today's rare coin environment, condition is king. Two identical 1994 pennies with the same error can have dramatically different values based on grade. A circulated example may be worth modest money, but a flawless, high-grade specimen with a dramatic, well-documented error can command extraordinary premiums. Most people overlook their coins. They spend them, they dump them in jars, they ignore them. But serious collectors and investors, they search relentlessly because they know that the United States coin market is fueled by scarcity and demand. When a rare error surfaces and gets authenticated by top grading services like PCGS or NGC, competition intensifies immediately. Because here's the truth. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a 6-figure coin is often invisible to the untrained eye. That tiny detail, that subtle doubling, that off-center strike, that blazing original red color untouched by circulation. And yes, while headlines sometimes spotlight extraordinary valuations like $786,000, those numbers are driven by extreme rarity, elite condition, and verified error status. That's the trifecta: rarity, condition, authentication. Imagine discovering years from now that you once had a rare 1994 error penny and spent it on a cup of coffee. Because the market for high-end Lincoln cents has grown dramatically among serious collectors in the 30 to 65 age range, professionals, investors, retirees building legacy wealth. They are not buying coins for nostalgia. They are buying for strategic diversification, historical significance, and long-term appreciation. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most widely collected in American history. And when a standout error from the 1990s appears in top condition, it becomes a trophy piece. Trophy pieces attract deep pockets. Deep pockets create record sales. You don't need insider access. You don't need to be a lifelong numismatist. You need awareness. You need discipline. And you need to take action. Start by pulling your 1994 pennies aside. Focus on coins with no mint mark. Examine the date closely. Study the word liberty. Look at "In God We Trust." Check for doubling, unusual thickness in letters, dramatic misalignment, or off-center strikes. Inspect the surface. Is it bright red? Is it free from scratches? Does it look almost untouched? If you find something promising, the next step is professional authentication. Top grading services encapsulate coins, assign condition grades, and confirm varieties. Once authenticated, the coin becomes liquid in the collector market. Auction houses, dealers, and private collectors compete confidently because the coin is verified. And here's a powerful mindset shift. Wealth often hides in overlooked places. It hides in knowledge gaps. It hides in ordinary objects that others ignore. The difference between those who build wealth and those who miss opportunity is attention. So the real question is not whether a 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny exists. Millions do. Because somewhere in America right now, someone is unknowingly sitting on a coin that collectors would aggressively pursue. Somewhere in a drawer, a jar, a safe, or a forgotten box, there is a penny that stands out from the rest. This is your moment to look differently at what you already have. To treat every coin as a potential asset. To move with urgency instead of assumption. The market rewards those who recognize value before everyone else does. And remember, in the world of rare coins, history and condition combine to create extraordinary outcomes. A single verified, High-grade 1994 Lincoln cent error can command attention at auction and ignite bidding wars among serious buyers. So tonight, instead of scrolling endlessly or dismissing the change in your pocket, take 10 minutes. Examine your coins. Research. Verify. Have you ever held a single penny in your hand and wondered, what if this tiny copper coin could change everything? What if the loose change sitting in your kitchen drawer right now is worth not 1 cent, not $1,000, but nearly $900,000? Today, we're uncovering the shocking truth behind the 1998 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that has collectors whispering, dealers searching, and everyday Americans checking their pockets with a new sense of urgency. Before you dismiss this as hype, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Not glanced at them, really looked. Because in 1998, something extraordinary happened at the US Mint. Something that has turned an ordinary-looking coin into a life-altering asset for those who know what to look for. The 1998 Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Most of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and unlike other mints, Philadelphia traditionally did not place a mint mark on pennies during that era. So a missing mint mark alone is not unusual. But here's where the story shifts from ordinary to extraordinary. In rare cases, 1998 pennies have surfaced with dramatic minting anomalies, highly collectible error characteristics that separate them from billions of standard coins. Certain specimens, verified and authenticated in top condition with rare die varieties or striking abnormalities, have commanded staggering sums at auction. One elite example, graded at the highest levels of preservation and exhibiting rare characteristics, has been valued in the range of $896,000 in today's competitive collector market. Now pause for a moment. Imagine finding that in a roll of pennies from your local bank. Imagine pulling that from a jar your grandfather left behind. That is not fantasy. That is the power of rarity meeting condition in the coin market. But let's rewind for context. In 1998, billions of Lincoln cents were produced. Most are worth exactly 1 cent. So why would one specific 1998 penny command nearly $1 million? The answer lies in 3 forces that drive the rare coin market: rarity, condition, and demand. Rarity is not just about low mintage. It's about how many examples exist in a specific error variety and how many have survived in pristine condition. Certain 1998 cents display rare die varieties, such as strong doubling or other striking anomalies, that were never meant to leave the mint. These errors occurred during the die preparation or striking process and slipped through quality control. Once discovered and authenticated by leading grading services, they became trophies in the numismatic world. Condition is where fortunes are made. A coin graded at the very top of the scale, virtually flawless, with blazing luster and razor-sharp details, can be exponentially more valuable than the same coin in circulated condition. We're not talking about a small price difference. We're talking about the difference between pocket change and generational wealth. And demand? Demand is fueled by serious collectors, investors, and high-net-worth individuals who view elite coins as tangible assets. In uncertain economic times, rare coins often attract buyers looking for portable, historically significant stores of value. When 2 determined collectors compete for a single top population coin, the price can skyrocket. That's how values reach numbers like $896,000. Let me ask you something directly. If you discovered that a penny in your possession could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, would you recognize it? Or would it accidentally end up back in circulation? This is where fear quietly enters the room. Every day, rare coins are unknowingly spent. Every day, potential wealth slips through fingers because someone didn't know what to look for. But here's the empowering truth: you can change that starting today. The key is education and action. Examine your 1998 pennies carefully. Look for sharp details, unusual doubling in the lettering, distortions, or anything that appears out of alignment. Use magnification. Compare your coin to verified examples. And if you suspect you have something special, never clean it. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Instead, consult a reputable coin grading service for authentication. Now let's shift to excitement. The beauty of coin collecting is that the barrier to entry is almost non-existent. You don't need a finance degree. You don't need insider connections. You simply need awareness and consistency. The next time you receive change at the grocery store, instead of ignoring it, examine it. That simple habit could alter your financial future. And here's a quick reality check with a smile. Most people will binge watch another TV show tonight. A small percentage will quietly search through their coin jars. Guess which group has a chance of finding a six-figure treasure? The 1998 Lincoln cent represents something larger than a single coin. It represents hidden opportunity in plain sight. Proves that value is not always obvious. It rewards patience, attention, and knowledge. And in a world where people chase complicated investment schemes, sometimes the opportunity is already sitting in your home. As we move toward the close of this story, connect the dots. A coin minted in 1998, a subtle error, exceptional condition, authentication, auction, fierce bidding, nearly $896,000. That journey from pocket change to premium asset didn't happen by accident. It happened because someone recognized significance where others saw nothing. This is your call to awareness. Start checking your 1998 pennies. Study the details. Treat every coin as if it could be extraordinary, because one day one of them might be. The market for rare error coins remains strong, and top-tier examples are always in demand among elite collectors. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary often comes down to attention. And right now, you have the knowledge. So tonight, before you toss your spare change aside, pause. Look closely, because the next penny you hold might not just be currency. It might be opportunity. It might be leverage. It might be the beginning of your wealth story. And if this opened your eyes to what's possible, stay tuned. Because there are more coins, more hidden rarities, and more untapped treasures waiting to be discovered. The question is not whether they exist. Have you ever held a penny in your hand and thought, what if this tiny copper coin could change my life? What if the next time you reach into your pocket, you're not pulling out 1 cent, but pulling out the key to nearly $1 million? Today, we're diving into the 2015 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that collectors are whispering about. A coin that has been valued as high as $934,000 in today's red-hot market. And before you dismiss this as fantasy, ask yourself one question. When was the last time you actually checked your change? Act 1 begins in 2015. The United States Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies that year. Most were ordinary. Most were spent, dropped into jars, forgotten in couch cushions. But within that ocean of copper lies a microscopic fraction of coins that separate the average from the extraordinary. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 under President Theodore Roosevelt, has always been more than pocket change. It is history in your palm. It carries the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of resilience and leadership, and in rare cases, it carries errors that turn it into treasure. Now here's where attention sharpens. When we say no mint mark, we're talking about coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Since 1980, Philadelphia coins typically bear no mint mark on the penny, making most 2015 pennies without a mint mark completely normal. But here's the twist: certain rare error varieties within the 2015 Philadelphia issue have surfaced. And when a coin combines the right striking anomaly, pristine preservation, and certified grading at the highest levels, its value can escalate dramatically. We are talking about condition rarity. We are talking about top population coins graded MS68 or higher by elite grading services like PCGS or NGC. In the rarefied air of elite auctions, perfection commands premiums that shock the unprepared. Pause for a second. Imagine holding a penny worth nearly $1 million. You wouldn't toss it in a tip jar, right? Yet people unknowingly spend rare coins every single day. That's not theory, that's documented reality. The difference between the person who cashes in and the person who cashes out is awareness. Now Act 2, the discovery phase. Somewhere in America, someone who understood the power of small details examined a 2015 Lincoln cent under magnification. Not casually, not lazily, intentionally. They noticed extraordinary strike sharpness, blazing red luster, immaculate surfaces virtually untouched by circulation. In some high-value cases, additional striking anomalies, double dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, or transitional planchet errors can amplify desirability. When such a coin is authenticated and encapsulated by a top-tier grading company with an ultra-high mint state grade, bidding wars ignite. Wealthy collectors compete not for the metal, but for exclusivity. In elite numismatics, rarity plus condition equals leverage. And here's the emotional trigger most people ignore: fear of missing out. Right now, collectors across the country are actively searching through rolls of 2015 pennies. Why? Because the modern coin market has shifted. It's no longer just about 1909 SVDBs or 1943 copper cents. It's about conditional scarcity. It's about registry-set competition. It's about investors diversifying into tangible assets that fit in the palm of your hand. Let me ask you something that might sting just a little. How many jars of coins are sitting in American homes right now? How many 2015 pennies are lying unnoticed in dresser drawers? And how many of them will be discovered by someone else while you scroll past this opportunity? Now, don't misunderstand this. Not every 2015 no-mint mark penny is worth a fortune. The majority are worth face value. But in the upper echelon of preserved, flawless specimens or rare error strikes, market demand has proven that buyers are willing to pay astonishing sums. Auction records show that modern coins, when graded at the absolute top of the population report, can soar into six figures and beyond. When a coin becomes the finest known example, its value is no longer tied to 1 cent. It is tied to status. Let's inject a quick pattern interrupt here. If you're thinking, it's just a penny, remember that in 2010 someone paid millions for a painting that looks like a red square. Perspective creates value. And in numismatics, perspective is everything. Act 3 is where transformation happens. This is where you move from curiosity to action. If you want to position yourself in this high-demand market, you must think like a professional. Examine your coins under magnification. Look for pristine red coloration, razor-sharp strike details in Lincoln's hair and beard, flawless fields free of contact marks. Study error varieties. Compare with verified auction archives. And if you believe you've found something extraordinary, submit it for professional grading. Certification transforms speculation into market-ready power. The current valuation figures circulating, including examples approaching $934,000 for elite condition modern rarities, reflect a marketplace driven by scarcity and competition. High net worth collectors are aggressively acquiring the finest registry quality coins. They are not waiting. They are building portfolios. And they understand something powerful. Small assets can produce massive leverage. Here's the bigger connection. Wealth rarely arrives in obvious packages. It hides in overlooked details. Penny is overlooked. That's why this opportunity is so compelling. You are not competing with everyone. You are competing with the informed few. And imagine this scenario. You sort through a roll of pennies tonight. You discover a blazing, nearly flawless 2015 Lincoln cent. It grades at the absolute top. Bidding escalates. Your 1 cent investment becomes a six-figure or even headline-level transaction. That's not fantasy. That's how modern numismatic markets operate when rarity and demand collide. This is your moment of urgency. Coins are still circulating. Errors are still being discovered. The market is still hungry, but awareness spreads fast. Once top populations are established, once supply is locked into collections, the window narrows. Early action is leverage. So the next time someone tells you a penny is worthless, smile. Because you understand something they don't. In the world of rare coins, knowledge converts copper into capital. Check your change. Study your 2015 Lincoln pennies. Seek condition. Seek rarity. Seek certification. And above all, act with intention.